Hi there, it's Karen at Simply Living for Him. It is Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021, and I'm here to do my daily encouragement video from God's Word. I'm sitting here in the car with my Bible, surrounded by the snow, because there was just nowhere quiet to record in the house today, so I'm out here in the car. I wanted to remind you, these videos are found daily on the YouTube channel as well as in the Simply Living for Him online women's community. I also will be posting them many days to Instagram. I've had people tell me that they really enjoy seeing them on Instagram, and I just figure the more places that I post them, the more likely to, somebody may stumble upon the truth of God's Word. So you may see this video in many places, and if it's not your thing, just scroll on by. But it's my desire that somebody would stumble across it, and it would be just what they need for that day. Today I want to talk to you from Exodus 20, which is the 10 Commandments. And I want to read to you verse 17. It says, "Do not covet your neighbor's house. Do not covet your neighbor's wife, male or female servant, ox or donkey, or anything else your neighbor owns." And you may read that and be like, well, that doesn't apply today because I don't really covet my neighbor's ox or donkey, but it does say there, or anything else your neighbor owns. And we often think of this verse, do not covet, as, I shouldn't want what someone else has. I shouldn't want after their things. And that's absolutely true. But when I think about this also, anything else your neighbor owns, I want to encourage you, don't covet someone else's life. And it may not even just be the stuff that they have. It might be the things that they do. It might be, just their overall calling. And we often look at others and we do covet, we do. And I don't think we take this command seriously enough. And I really want to look at that because I did a talk years ago called Stop Window Shopping for a Better Life. And it was really about mental clutter and what happens to us when we're kind of scrolling through the internet. It's like we're window shopping, right? We aren't really buying anything, but we're kind of peering into everybody's life and saying, I want that for my life. I want that for my life. And it often leaves us empty, just like window shopping in the store. You go home empty-handed, but it also leaves us empty, sometimes in our soul. We feel like, I don't do all the things she does, or I don't have, the family they have, or I don't travel like this one does, or I don't cook like this one does, or whatever it is, right? And you may start to covet, and we don't realize it, but our culture actually glorifies coveting because, advertising is made to make you want what you don't have. I mean, do you ever think about that? That like, we're breaking a commandment when we are kind of trying to, want not just things that other people have, but somebody else's life. And so we need to be really aware of where we are coveting each day. It's like I said, it's very easy to say, I want, a new car like someone has, or a new phone like someone has, or I want a house like someone has. Those things are breaking a commandment. We are supposed to be satisfied in God alone. And, there's a difference between admiring what someone else has, like I admire their house, or I admire, whatever it is. But when you start to become unsatisfied in your own life, possessions, and provisions because you want what someone else has, then you're kind of crossing the line from admiration to coveting. And again, this happens not just in physical things, but we also do it in our lives. We can say, I admire their family. I admire their ministry. I admire, their career. I admire their achievements. Or we can look at it and say, I wish my family looked like theirs. Their kids are so well behaved. Their husband is, always doing nice things. Or I wish I had, that kind of career that someone has because they're doing all these great achievements and they're traveling the world. Or I wish my ministry looked like someone else's because they have more followers and they're making more of an impact. And all of these things are actually coveting. God has created each of us in our lives for a unique purpose. And Ultimately, we all have the same purpose to glorify God in all we do. But how we achieve that is unique to each of us. Some people are called to be a housewife. Some people are called to be a CEO of a company. Some people are called to be a missionary around the world. Some people are called to be a missionary right where you are in your home. Everyone has a different way that God is using them. In the end, our job is to glorify Him. So we are to be so satisfied in Him that we don't want what others have, because we look at our life and say, this is where God has called me. I look at my life. God has called me to be a housewife. I don't want to be any other place but a housewife and a homeschool mom and doing my ministry. Those are the things God has called me to do. He did not call me, at least not yet, to go to Africa and be a missionary. He did not call me, at least not yet, to go, work somewhere in some big corporation. He didn't call me to any of the things. I know 100% my callings. And if you're feeling like, well, I don't even know what my calling is it maybe because you're looking at everybody else's calling and you're not hearing Him? That's what I say when we window shop. We window shop online. It's like we get little snippets of what everybody else in the world is doing and what everybody else has. And we kind of get confused. Our mind gets cluttered up. Like, wow, I wish I could do what they're doing. Or wow, I wish I had what they had. When meanwhile, God has created you to live a very unique life and purposes that might be very different. So while we can admire what somebody else does, may we not covet, because coveting will take you down a very wrong path. It will make you become unsatisfied with the things that God has given you and the unique circumstances that He has placed you in for a purpose. But ultimately, our purpose is to glorify Him. No matter what we have, no matter where we are to glorify Him in all things and not look to what everybody else is doing. Often people say, oh, well, I don't have the time to do what so-and-so is doing. And I'm always like, that's because God didn't give you the time to do that. Like, God gives each of us the time to do the things He has called us to do. So if you find yourself kind of window shopping for a better life, I encourage you to really get into the Word. Take God's command seriously for not coveting. Don't covet someone else's life. Don't covet their things. Don't covet their life. Start where you are. Take some time with the Lord. Really just spend time alone with Him. Drown out the noise of this world and say to the Lord, help me to be satisfied in You alone. Help me to live for You alone. And then you won't have an issue with coveting. So I hope this encouraged you today. If it did, I'd love for you to comment, let me know what you think, and share it with a friend. And I will see you next time. Until then, I wish you all the blessings and joy in Jesus today.